Hear that? That's that beat. Right at you. Let me pause it. Don't want to get a strike. Oh, okay. Oh, hello. I am me. So check this out. This is a flow. This is a memory. This is a lock that I want to do right now because my wife, she sent me some information, and it was super cool because she sent me some information about this rabbi. Ooh, look at how that light glows. Wow. Right. But there was this man somewhere in the realm, let's just say there was a man in the realm, and then this man in the realm said that he was something that I guess that he was not, right? So there was a man who you would call a rabbi, a teacher, right? And this man, who happens to be around the age of 58, was shot in an attack at a place of worship, right? This is what happened, right? So this is what happened to this man right here. So there was a man who was a leader of a place of worship, and somebody shot him, right? So that happened to this man. And then this man who was wounded, and then also had some type of attack go on with him. Like, this man just had some problems, right? Let's just keep it moving. Let's keep it moving. What happened with this man, right? So this man they sentenced this man today for his role in several fraud schemes, right? So this man who was responsible for a place of worship was sentenced for fraud schemes. So now I'm curious, what did this man do? What kind of fraud did this man do? Who did this man harm? All right, so let's keep it moving, right? So this man was sentenced to 14 months in custody and must pay nearly $3 million in restitution for schemes involving the misuse of at least $6.2 million in contributions and donations to the place of worship. Of those, this man admitted to approximately a certain amount of money for himself. All right. Now this man must surrender to authorities. So this man who was in charge of a place of worship, the way that I guess he managed his monies was not correct. And then because the way that he managed his monies was not correct, they are now saying this man must surrender to authorities. So now we have an interesting point of view. So there's a man who's in charge of a building, and this building is a place of worship. But this man who happens to manage the money for this place of worship, which is completely separate from these authorities. Because I'm wondering, who are these authorities that can come and make a claim against this man who's in charge of his place of worship, right? This is super interesting, so all right, let's keep it going, right? So this is what happened. So now this man he says, I stand here today, my head bowed in shame. So this man who was in charge of a place of worship now happens to stand outside of a place, and he happens to bow his head down in shame, right? Why would this man do this? I don't understand why a man would bow his head down in shame because he was responsible for the building, for the place of worship. Why would this man bow his head down? I don't understand, right? But let's keep it moving, right? He has remorse. This is a sad man. This man has remorse. He's disappointed over crimes, right? So now they say this man has done crimes. So now I'm really wondering, who did this man harm? This man has had to harm somebody, right? Because he's bowing his head down in shame for something that he's done wrong. What has this man done that has been so wrong that he's committed to God and mankind, right? He's like, check this out, right? He says, I bow my head down in shame. I have remorse. I am disappointed over the crimes that I have committed to God and mankind. Those are some heavy words, right? So what did this man do? Right. What did this man do who was responsible for a place of worship and he was managing his monies? Right. What did this man do that was so wrong to God? Right. It says he's bowing his head down in shame. I would never bow my head down in shame. Right. I only bend my knee to God. That's it. That's it. Only to God. Right. So why did this man right here bow his head down in shame? Let's keep it moving. Let's look at this. Right. This is what I call a confession. I'm telling you what's in my head right now because I'm having a conversation with this man, right? Because this man who claims to be a man of God, right? Who was responsible for building a place of worship, who then says he bows his head down in shame because he's committed a crime to God and mankind. That's powerful. What did this man do that was so bad? What did he do? Okay, so then they sentenced him. Why did he plead guilty? Well, there was something going on with the pandemic, blah, 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 blah. A lifetime of service, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Okay, here we go. So then there was a judge. And then what did the judge say? The judge said many of this man's co-defendants thought their offenses would ultimately benefit the place of worship. Okay? So they're maneuvering these people around right now because there's this what is this? Yeah, there's this woman who is a judge who was saying that this man and these other men or women through their offenses. So who did they offend? Who did they harm? Right? This is what I'm thinking. Who did this man harm? Right? Who did they hurt? I don't know. They haven't said anything so far. So far, I just see that there's like money. Money's not around, right? But I want to figure out who is the one that is offended. Who is the one that has been harmed, right? And then they say, oh, it would ultimately benefit the place of worship, right? So I wonder what happened. Did what they do not benefit the place of worship? That's interesting. All right, let's keep it going. Right. So it says, really, it was a benefit to just you. Okay, so now something happened. Something happened right here because there's something where the judge says that many of this man's co-defendants, so the people that are riding with this man, are saying that they thought it was going to benefit the place of worship, but then they say, really, it was just to benefit you. So it sounds like they turned on this man. Wow. Okay, so I guess they don't ride right. They don't ride right, because they turned on this man because they were like, yo, everything that we did together, it didn't benefit the place of worship. It only benefited you. Who would say that? I don't think I would like people like that on my team. Those kind of people I don't want on my team. Remember that, right? So if you plan to work with people and then you're like, okay, well, we're going to build something. We're going to build something really cool. Like, we're going to build schools. We're going to build places where little people can be filled in with good information and then grow up to be big people who can do good things, right? So that's what we're going to do. So then you do all of these things, and then because you do that, you're called a church, right? Because you're doing something that the secular world's church is called government, right? So the government does the same thing that the church does, but what the church does things that are in the private. The government does things that are for the public, right? The public people are those people who don't have private associations, right? So they have to hang out with the public associations, and the public association is what the government controls, right? The private association is what the church controls, right? They both kind of do the same thing, right? But one is operating in the private and then the other one is operating in the public, right? So basically they oppose each other sometimes, right? So then if you were operating in one side and you were like, oh my God, this other side has the same abilities that we have. What are we going to do? Oh, let's go ahead and do this. Let's make the people not know what the other side is supposed to do. That's kind of what happened, right? So because this man right here looks like he bent the knee because he says that he's done a crime to God and he's done a crime to mankind, but the only thing that I can see that he has done is that they said that he was the one that benefited, right? So what benefit did this man get? What did they say? What did they say? I think it's important to send a message to the community and then send a message to you. Oh, okay. That's interesting. So the more that I'm reading the story, it sounded like this is looking more like a threat to people who operate in the private, right? I just don't think that a home confinement adequately reflects what you did in this case, right? So the man was sentenced. They sentenced him for doing something with money, right? So he didn't harm anyone, right? So there was no other man or no other woman harmed, right? So he didn't physically harm anyone. So they want to do something with his time. They want to put this man in a box, in a bubble, and confine him because he didn't give a group of people money. Who didn't he give money to? Okay, let's see who he didn't give money to. They said that this man alleged tax fraud began as early as November 2016, and the IRS, the Internal Revenue Services, right, and the FBI executed search warrants at this man's home, at this man's place of worship, 6 months before the attack even happened, right? So before this man was attacked, this man was being actually looked at by two other associations, right? One of the associations was looking at this man, and then they were looking at this man since 2016. So whatever, he was being looked at by two private associations, right? So one private association was being watched by two other private associations, and then they were beefing. This is just how the battle goes, right? You know, so basically the whole world is just private associations versus private associations, right? I'm going to stop with that story because I don't need to move on because, look, this man is not what you would call a church because he didn't call himself a church, right? Because a church, by definition, right, is the exception to what this group of people you would call the IRS, right? So the IRS, the Internal Revenue Service Association, right? What they do is that they provide a service for the taxpayer. The taxpayer has to pay the IRS a certain amount of dues every year. They have to pay them dues so because of the services that this company provides for them. That's just what they do, right? So every year they collect money. They collect it around a certain time, and then they get a lot of money from a lot of people, right? It's really cool. I like the scheme, you know. But then if certain people don't give this group of people money, then they hit them with other groups of people. It's a fun game. I really like it, right? It's just like TV, you know, but that's what happened, right? This man who was in charge of a place of worship was sentenced, and then he was put in punishment. They said, you've been bad. You can't do with that. You can't do that. You're a fraud, right? You should be ashamed of yourself. Shame, shame. And then he was like, oh my God, I'm so bad. I'm so bad. I harmed people because I didn't give them money, or I didn't do something with the money that I was getting, right? So then they hit him up because this man does not know what the rules are. He does not know what the rules are, right? He does not know that churches, he does not know what a church is. He does not know what integrated auxiliaries are, right? He does not know what conventions are. He does not know what associations of churches are, right? So whoever this man is, right, he does not know the rules of this realm. It's just simple, right? Because the rules of the realm are all online. You can go read it. All you have to do is go to the place and just look it up, and then it'll tell you exactly what it is that you need to know. And then you're like, oh, okay, I got that. You know, that's me. All of those are me. And then it says right there, oh, you are not bound, right? Because you are now something else, right? So you will always be known by your words, right? You will always be known by your words. What you call yourself is what they will define you as, right? That's why I'm just a man. I'm just a simple man. Just a simple man, right? You know, because I don't want to be bound by their rules. I don't like their rules. They're silly, you know. So let's keep it going. So from that, that's basically it. This man doesn't know the rules, right? And he was in charge of this place of worship since like 1986. That's a long time, right? So that's a long time to be in charge of a building where a bunch of other people go to so that they can feel safe and they can feel comfort and they can feel community and they can learn things, right? And they can just like grow. They can be fruitful and multiply and grow and then just crush, right? So this man was not responsible. He did not know what the law was. He did not know what the rules were. And because he did not do that, he had people that he associated himself with that caused him harm, literally, because now he has to do time, right? He has to give his time to another agent, right? That's just weird, right? God said man is number 2, right? God said man is second in command. No corporation can be in charge of man, right? And if you did not know that, that's because you don't know how to read the rules of the land, right? And once you're able to read the rules of the land, everything just gets real simple, right? It's really simple. All you have to do is just be one. But that memory lock is done because, you know, Title 42 in the U.S. Code says, what does it say, right? It says it's a non-law. It's a non-positive law, right? So Title 42 in the U.S. Code is a non-positive law. Non-positive law means no law, right? It's not a law. It's just a bunch of words. It's babble, blah, 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 right? So they're babbling. What does Title 42 babble about? Title 42 babbles about public health service, right? And Social Security Act, right? That's what Title 42 babbles about. It babbles about public health service and it babbles about Social Security. Babble, 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 right? When you read the words, you just have to know that whatever you're reading that's related to public health service is babble. Whatever you're reading and it's related to Social Security service, it's babble, right? Once you know that, you're going to be okay. You'll be free. You'll understand things. It's real simple, right? Just go read the definitions. Everything's written. It's all in the Word. And in the beginning, the Word was God, and God was good. It's that simple. And I guess I can be done with this bit right now. So now I have it locked, right? So this is another understanding about U.S. Code, Title 42, non-positive law. It's not a law, right? So you can't take money from people for things that are no law. No law, no service, no contract. Super simple. See you in the future. I'm out and I'm good. No one's having more fun than us. Bye.